Alright, so I had to include some diet tips in this course because it's key to getting proper results. Because if you don't get your nutrition right, you're basically missing out on 80% of the equation to getting your physique right. Many people think that in order to get a proper physique, you gotta be eating chicken and rice every day, but that's simply not true. I actually eat some of my favorite snacks and also have cheat meals every now and then and still hit my macro goals. And in this video, I'm gonna be talking about how I do that. But before I do that, I wanna get over the most important part that you need to do right, which is calorie counting. Every digestible food that you eat has calories, which contains energy. And every day, just by simply being alive, you burn calories from maintaining basic functions such as digestion and breathing. And this is known as your basal metabolic rate, or BMR. Daily activities such as like walking or exercising also burn calories. And the combination of the calories burned from these daily activities along with your BMR is known as your total daily energy expenditure, also known as TDEE. And TDEE is the amount of total calories you burn every day. So let's say you eat the same amount of calories as your TDEE. That's known as your maintenance calories. And if you eat in your maintenance calories, you're not gonna lose or gain weight, you will stay the same weight. If you eat above your TDEE amount of calories, then that's also known as a caloric surplus, meaning you're gonna gain weight. And the opposite also applies. If you eat under your TDEE amount of calories, then that's known as a caloric deficit and you're going to lose weight. So with that in mind, a pound of fat is 3,500 calories. So if you eat in a 350 calorie deficit for 10 days, you're gonna be losing 1 pound of fat, because 350 times 10 is 3,500. And another thing I want to mention is BMI, which stands for body mass index. And that's basically telling you what your ideal weight is depending on your height and age. And while it's not 100% accurate, it is a good baseline for you to use to see where you are right now as a starting point. And with calisthenics, I recommend that most people drop down to a lower body fat percentage or maintain a lower body fat percentage, because with calisthenics, you want to see excess body fat as basically excess weight. I mean, with powerlifting or weightlifting, it wouldn't matter that much because you're not going to be utilizing your body weight in the exercises you do for the most part. But with calisthenics, every extra pound of body fat you have added to your weight, this is going to be dead weight, and you're going to be carrying that around when you do skills such as like the planche or the front lever. Is really not going to be beneficial to you because fat is non-functional. So if you're someone who's overweight, I'll recommend you cut down to what is considered a normal weight according to the BMI index. And from that point on, you would start to maintain gain. While calisthenics is harder for someone who's overweight, I would say that it's much more rewarding in the long term because you're going to be used to carrying all this extra weight in all your body weight exercises. And once you start to shed that weight, your progress will kind of exponentially increase, and it will be much more satisfying to progress in body weight training. Now, if you're someone who's average or skinny according to the BMI index, I would just say to maintain your weight and just continue to train. Because if you decide to gain weight when you first start off calisthenics, it can affect your progress because you run into the chance of making some exercises harder if you gain weight, and that might make you think that you're not progressing and that you're plateauing, and it will also make you lose motivation to train. I would just say just main gain for the time being until you reach that intermediate stage, and then decide whether you want to main gain or do some bulking cutting cycles. Now, with that out of the way, how do you actually calculate your TDEE? So for starters, I would use the link in the description below and basically put in your information, and it'll give you like an approximate number of what your TDEE is. You should keep in mind that this is like an approximation, and it's impossible for like any program to accurately tell you your TDEE since everyone's different, but you should use this as a baseline. So I would say to stick to this number of calories for a week, and if you notice any drastic weight gain or weight loss, then you know you can adjust accordingly next week. And once you do figure out your approximate TDEE, then you can actually start your dieting. If you're trying to lose weight, I would recommend you start off with a 350 calorie deficit daily. And once you get more comfortable with that, I would recommend you increase it to 500 and continue that deficit until you reach your ideal weight. The reason I don't recommend you start off with 500 or even more is because it's very easy to rebound diet if you start off with a higher number and you're not used to it. For the actual calorie counting, I've used something such as MyFitnessPal or any other app that you prefer. And as for weighing yourself, I would recommend you do that every morning after you use the bathroom throughout the week, and then at the end of the week you'll take that daily weight and just average it out, so you have like a better idea of what your weight actually is, since our body weight does fluctuate daily based on metabolism and also water weight. And if you do notice that your weight isn't changing even though you're following a diet, it means that something is wrong and you can adjust accordingly. For example, if you're in a 500 calorie deficit for a week and you notice that you gained 1 pound, then you know that something's wrong and that for the next week you should probably dial it back in the calories. And yeah, it's all about adapting to what you see on the scale. So now that you know how to count your calories, I'm just going to give you some quick tips that I personally use when I diet. So for one thing, you should always be eating 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight to ensure proper muscle growth and also to ensure that you're recovering properly. And the extra benefit of eating a lot of protein is that protein keeps you more satiated for a longer amount of time. So it's more likely to prevent you from getting hungry and also steering off course of your diet. Another thing I would like to mention is that you should eat your meals slower if you're trying to lose weight, because if you eat your meals slower, it'll actually give more time for your brain to process that you're eating food, meaning that you're going to feel more full and less likely to get hungry. And also I recommend you eat foods that are less calorically dense. You'll be surprised how much food you can actually eat for a low amount of calories. So for example, a pound of strawberries is only around like 150 calories, and there's no way you can't get full eating like a whole pound of strawberries. And just some other options off the top of my head are egg whites, fat-free Greek yogurt, shrimp, sugar-free jello, watermelon, like a ton of things. If you Google it, you'll find a whole list. And I would also like to mention that calories in, calories out is a thing. So let's say your daily maintenance calories is like 3,500. If you eat 3,500 calories of chocolate, you will maintain your weight, even though that's not healthy for you. So you can kind of like keep that in your mind. I'm not telling you to eat junk food for your whole daily calorie intake, but you can kind of use that to gauge how much food you can actually eat. So for example, if you meant like your daily protein intake and you still have like 500 calories left over, there's no reason why you can't have like a cheat meal, you know? And having a cheat meal every now and then definitely helps you stay on track and also prevent you from binging junk food. So yeah, that about wraps this up. If you have any other questions, you can drop it in the Discord. And there's also a food and recipes channel in the Discord, so if you ever need some inspiration of what you can eat to maintain your diet, then you can check that out. And yeah, I hope you enjoy.